Hey there, fellow settlers, Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to Endzone 2, Episode 2, Expanding and Exploration. As you can see, as the settlement grows, the faster the level of health decreases. Pharmacies can counteract this. A low level of health increases the risk of an outbreak of sickness. So as our settlement is growing, the average health of everybody is decreasing, which is just a natural response to growth. Time for some cholera and typhoid. Oh, yes. And given that our water jetty just collects, like, pond water, maybe some giardia, too? You can start to see some of the initial research tiers. So I have swamp farm and market and pharmacist and pharmacy as I'm building the houses to increase my tech level. And the last house I'm going to build will be a ecology simple dwelling, I think. Oh, low water resources. Never mind. I'm going to fire you and put you in the jetty. So the game does a pretty good warning of like, hey, your resources are like going down at a critical level. Pay attention. It will alert me with plenty of time to change course. So I've just put 2 more people in the water jetty to bring the food back, water back up. But then I also see the food's going down. So it looks like I could probably fire a lumberjack because we have a lot of wood. So I'm going to fire 2 lumberjacks, hire 1 more forager, and see if the levels balance out. And then that last house that I was going to build. There we go. So the levels aren't balanced, but I'm pretty sure the tutorial will have me address that. Also, some of that is just the weaver uses a lot of water. So if I back off on the amount of people working in the weaver mill, my net water will go back up.
Thanks to our joint efforts, our little settlement is soon not going to be so little anymore. If the population increases, then the settlement supply situation has to grow too. Apart from the jetty, you can also build wells that can pump water out of wet, swampy marsh soil.
Build a well and assign 2 well keepers. So this wet, marshy soil can support wells. And there's 2 swamplands. And I'm going to build the well closer to the town hall swampland, as we'll have better efficiency proximities to the town hall. Where's the other swampland? I think to the north. So that's 13 or 11 or whatever, and this is like +1. And just like the water jetties, these also have an adjacency penalty. So if you put them on top of one another, as you can see, that little stopwatch with the ×2, they work less efficiently. So space them out. And then the game also wants me to build another building that produces food. So I'm going to build another forager. And let's go and forage this swath of forest down here. Changing the circle. Nope. Just... Come on, where was that 810? Doesn't need to be perfect. There we go. 810. Perfect. 2 well keepers. So here, as you can see, if you take a close look, 1 well keeper is like 14 water a minute, and then my 5 jetty workers is basically like 20, almost 21 water a minute. So different facilities have different speeds depending on adjacency to a depot and also what type they are. So like a well keeper is not worth as much as a jetty worker. But during droughts, which this game calls drafts, don't ask, the wells will work, but the jetties won't. And then the number will also change. So if I add a second well keeper, we go from 14 to 15, and then a third, and so depending, some work facilities, like more on point would be like tool making. Like 3 people make 4 a minute, 2 people make 2 a minute, 1 person makes 1 a minute. So depending on the manpower, the efficiency of a facility can radically change.
The supply situation is stable.
It's not
Soon our
incremental.
depots will be filled to the brim. When the depots are full, you have to increase their capacity. There is a depot for water, one for food, and one for all other materials. Place depots near your production sites so that they can produce quickly.
Okay, so let's go ahead and build a cistern. And I'm going to want to build a cistern, like, basically on top of the water jetty, so that the water jetty has increased work speed. Plop it right there. A food depot. And I can put the food depot here, because it's between the forager and the fish, covering both. And then, for all other things, let's go with... I'm actually going to build 2 of these. So I'm going to go with one with the lumber mill and the tools once I have the materials. I don't. So I lack scrap. That's easy to solve. And I haven't forgotten about this depot down here. Materials depots, I tend to place more. But now that the jetties are built, as you can see, the oh, they're not built yet. But yeah, keep an eye on this. So it's 104 a minute without a cistern, and then like this forging hut is 32 a minute without a depot. And then when we add the depot in, we can compare and contrast the rates. So this one will be first. So this has gone up by 10% because of depots in the vicinity. And the same will be true of the jetty and the fishery. Because there's a little icon here where if there's depots nearby, it gains a 10% production gain. So now 104 to 115. Not bad for doing basically nothing. The materials I probably want most are these guys, which is why I was going to put the other depot here. Well, I'm kind of waiting on scrap, but scrap is actually one of those resources you get a lot later on, so plop the depot there. Oh, my scrapyard has far off work penalties. There, that's just better. I didn't realize the work circle had ventured too far away. Well, now the scrapyard's really cooking. So here, as you can see,
increases the maximum number of resources that can be stockpiled at a settlement. When your depots are full, buildings cannot produce any further.
Here, because of the dwelling proximity, there's a 10% gain to the scrapyard. And then it doesn't have a depot in the facility, so I could add another 10% by putting a depot adjacent to it.
Besides the short distance to a depot, good availability is important for production buildings. A production site produces more effectively when it is connected to the town center by a road.
All right, current goal is to build a road network. Now, unlike a lot of games, these roads cost tools. So, it's great to have a road network, but just know that if you're like constantly tinkering with it, you're going to be increasing the cost
Super.
to build.
The more buildings you connect via your road network, the more stable the production at your settlement is going to be able to run.
Oh, that was a mistake. And for each facility that is connected to the road network, I gain 10%. So although it burns through tools, it's probably worth doing. Because here's a 10% bonus to the woodcutting lodge, for instance.
It uses up more resources too. Luckily, we're able to have our wood grow back again. We have the tree nursery for that.
All right, build a tree nursery. I'm going to do that after I build this road network, though. Trying to figure out. Oh, there we go. And then I haven't forgotten about you down here. Okay, everything should be interconnected for the road link to town center bonus. 10% for pretty much every work facility. So now we went from 104 a minute to 125 a minute. Which is pretty good bonus there. We are in the positive for all of the resources up here, except for fibers. That's kind of fine. I'll just put another plantation worker. All right, so tree nursery. So tree nursery is a way to regrow trees so that your woodcutters don't clear cut and then you're left with nothing, because there are not a lot of trees outside of the safe zones, and you can't really work them either. I'll put the tree nursery here. Oh, I lack resources. I lack wood. Well, okay. I want the tree nursery to be very close to the trees that they want to regrow so that there's a proximity bonus. And then put the circle over.
Awesome. The tree nursery will plant trees within its work area that can be used again by the woodcutting lodge. That way, we create a healthy loop.
The needles of the Geiger counters begin to swing hotter. A sharp increase in radiation is going to occur soon. We should start to get sufficient protective clothing ready.
All right. So I think everything that I have now is interconnected. I don't necessarily have depots near everything, but most of the bonuses that I need are set.
Oh no. I had hoped we'd have more time. Now we have to act fast. We need protective clothing to shield us against radiation. For the first component of a complete set of equipment, we need coal.
All right, I need a charcoal kiln. Putting this, of course, near the woodcutter and the materials depot is going to provide adjacency bonuses. So I'll plop that bad boy here. I do believe that dwellings inside of, yeah, here's you can see, if you put the charcoal burner close to everything but the economy housing, it pisses them off. The economy houses don't care, but all the other houses do. So be careful with your adjacencies there, because you don't want to piss off people if you can help it. So there's a little kill. And we'll need 2 charcoal burners. And now that I have the materials, I think what I'm going to do is put down some additional food depots near where the other facilities are working. because the food depots are rather
Coal
cheap
is
to
made
build.
from wood. When wood gets scarce, assign more settlers to the woodcutting lodge, or build a second one. The tailor shop can make protective masks out of coal and cloth. They ought to be sufficient at first. Our settlement already produces cloth, and you have just taken care of getting coal.
Okay, I'm going to do that in a minute. I want to set up some depots first. So that all the production facilities within the colony have adjacency bonuses. So what doesn't have a depot? Let's see. Those are all depoted up. That's getting its depot now. So we need a materials depot down here for you, once I have the materials for that. And I think those are the only facilities that don't have depots. Just the plantation and the weavery. Well, actually, the water pump doesn't have a depot either. Robert the Druid and Fraser, thank you for the resubs, and Sven and Shadow of Tor. Thank you all, and cheers. All right, I am just waiting on a little bit of wood. There we go. With all the charcoal burning that is happening right now, the excess wood that we have is just being burned up, essentially. Meaning it's probably worth, now that we have 5 woodcutters, to have 2 foresters to try to keep up. And here, as you can see, why I built so many societal houses, because society buildings kind of fall behind, generally speaking. That's only foresight I had from having played before, because all the bonuses that I have from society are from the houses I built, whereas economy and ecology, those buildings are in excess really early game. So that has adjacency, so we just need a water cistern there. Well, I also don't have the plastic. As far as a tailor workshop goes, probably put it next to the weavery, I'd imagine. It wants to be near coal and cloth, but I have to pick one or the other. It's also worth noting that it's not the only recipe that can handle. Rubber gloves cost cloth and scrap, so depending on the recipes that you have, it will have different adjacency bonuses, but the common one between the two is cloth. So putting it here makes sense because no matter what recipe I have, at least we'll have the cloth bonus from being adjacent. And we are making activated carbon masks. So up at the top, you can see the general confidence, which is morale, more or less. To achieve a high level of confidence requires a basic supply of water, food, and along with the provisions of sufficient housing, sicknesses have a negative effect on consequence. Good or poor levels of consequence have an effect on the settler's behavior. State of health. The larger the settlement grows, the faster the lack of health decreases. Pharmacies counteract it. And then radioactive contamination of settlers. The higher the environmental exposure to radiation, the faster the settlers at a settlement are contaminated. Different types of protective clothing can counteract this. So the clothing, and it's not just clothing, there's other things that can counteract it as well, like iodine and decontamination kits. So here is radiation protection. Settlements that store sufficient radiation protection protect settlers from environmental radiation. The more that different radiation protection measures are stored, the higher level of environmental radiation the inhabitants of the settlements are protected against. Consumption of radiation protection increases as the number of settlers increase. So you have masks, gloves, decontamination kits, and I don't know what that last symbol is. What is that? Lead vests. Okay. Not all of those are included in the demo. So like lead vests and decontamination. Well, lead vests you can't make in the demo, but decontamination kits you can't make, but you can find. All right. Finally, for that last cistern I've been waiting on. I'm going to place it here, maybe? I'm trying to place it where I can put other well keepers in the future, but still be within the region. So maybe like that. I wanted to cover the entire swampland, because if I do end up wanting to put additional pumps in here, because it could probably fit 3 pump heads, it would be good to have this circle cover all of it. Alright, so let's finally assign those tailors.
Good. The protective clothing is truly a blessing. It is issued to the settlers automatically. If a settlement is contaminated and our settlers are unprotected, that can mean the end of the settlement.
Our fears have been confirmed. The radiation levels are rising sharply.
The higher the radiation level in a zone, the better we have to protect our settlers. If the protective clothing is not sufficient at some point, the inhabitants' exposure to radiation rises. When the radiation exposure gets too high, our settlers will gradually die of it. Even if the protection is sufficient at first, we should also prepare ourselves soon against potentially stronger radiation. Regardless of whether due to radiation, a poor supply situation, or
Oops. What was she saying? A poor supply situation or simply getting too old, sooner or later we find ourselves having to say farewell to every settler. We need a place where we can lay the dead to rest. Build a graveyard, designate an area for graves, and assign a gravekeeper. So this was a question from before, but yes, there are graveyards. I don't think that there's a penalty. Obviously, I'm not going to put it in the center of town. That'd be weird. But I don't think there's a penalty to exactly where you put it. So away from strategic resources is like wise, because obviously it's going to take up room otherwise. I'm going to put it way down here. And then when it's built, you set up plots very much the same way you set up plantation plots, where you can, designate where the graves go. And up here, you can see that the radiation protection of this colony is going up a little bit because I have activated carbon masks. So my settlers aren't contaminated yet. The radiation hasn't come just yet, but it is coming. So preparing for that would be wise. So designated place for graves. There you go. 97. There we go. Full 100. No, apparently 99. I'm bad at counting. And 1 gravekeeper.
Thanks a lot. Now we have a place to mourn and commemorate those who had to come and go before our time. I think we've put down roots here and can start to upgrade the settlement further. We need sturdy building material to do that. We ought to fire bricks, and to do that, we need clay. We're not able to extract clay just like that yet. For some advanced technologies, we lack the necessary know-how. We have to accumulate that knowledge first. To be able to perform research, first you have to track down ancient knowledge in the wasteland. The thing is, you can start an expedition at some of the ruins there. If you've examined the ruin thoroughly enough, you receive 1 or more knowledge points. But not every site can be explored this way. At some of them, there are merely some resources to be gathered. So to obtain knowledge, we need a ruin we can explore with an expedition.
Okay. So go get technology points. So for that, I need to grab the Pathfinder that we have, which is out on the road, and to explore ruins for lost technology. So not all ruins start an expedition, like this one doesn't. This one is just regular old looting ruins. And you can drive around and try to find expedition points. So that's what we're doing right now.
On my way.
And there's a lot of things to be looted from these ruins.
All clear.
Once your car is filled up, you can just double back to the transfer point and dump the resources back into your colony. So this is a really good way to get like freebie resources. Albeit it's finite because the map is finite.
Got it. Let's go. Where are we going?
Not all of the ruins are on the roads, too. Sometimes they're out, like, in the forest.
Let's go. Let's go. Got it.
So the bridges are blocked in the demo, but one would assume you rebuilt them to gain access to new terrain and possibly a world map. I'm not sure.
Let's go.
Is it more like an RTS? No, it's still very much like the original. You know, like a settlement management post-apocalyptic game.
Way.
That's all written up in the details. But it has sort of RTS-like aspects this to it. Oh, here's an expedition.
These factory grounds are less damaged than the rest of the wastelands. Let's see what we can find here. What's up?
So now I have one of the Pathfinder crew.
I'll pack that.
Searching this factory ground.
Looks interesting.
So I just picked up planks,
Will do.
which I can use to create a ramp here. So I can gain access to the upper floors.
I'll pack that. This
And a
old
safe. And
can't
safes can be opened up
cracked without substantial effort.
They can be opened with 10 tools or 2 iron tools. I have in my Pathfinder 14 regular tools, so we'll crack it.
A truly lucky find. This species of plant seeds is unknown to us. We'll take them with us. Will do.
And I did gain a knowledge point for exploring here. And I picked up iodine from that safe. Now the issue that I'm going to have here is, oh no, it doesn't all fit. Let's go ahead and ditch wood for iodine. I can always come back and pick up the wood, but if I had to pick between the two, it's going to be iodine over wood.
Our explorers have extensively explored this ruin and consequently received 1 knowledge point. We can also use that point to research the kinds of technologies that require knowledge points. To be able to research a technology also means that our settlement branches need to be far enough advanced. Build additional buildings which are allocated to the branch in order to make progress at that branch. But when it comes to researching the clay pit, our settlement ought to have made sufficient progress.
Okay. Below the map, there are various access points to certain full-screen windows, such as transportation routes or research. So, research is down here. As is settlements, you can have more than one settlement. So, different settlements will have different strategic resources, and you can set up automatic transportation between settlements to transport resources. So, I'll give you a for instance. We have clay in Yodaville. It's possible that we'll have another settlement elsewhere that has a different strategic resource, let's say iodine. And the iodine settlement needs clay for advanced buildings, and then Yodaville needs iodine for medication. And you can create a new transport route between both settlements and assign a vehicle to it to transfer resources automatically between the two settlements. Or if, for instance, a settlement doesn't have access to farming, you can transfer food or water or really anything else that you want. But in this case, we want to research clay. So explore a clay pit. So clay pits are here under economy, and it costs 15 economy points. And it also costs a knowledge point, wood, scrap, and tools, all of which I already have.
Great! We can build clay pits with that. Our settlers will have to visit unfamiliar places in the future as well in order to accumulate sufficient knowledge for more research. It might even be that now is a good time to explore some more ruins. Whatever you say. Clay is mined at a clay pit, which has to be placed at a clay deposit. If there is no clay deposit, then you can't obtain any clay in that zone either.
Build a clay pit, assign 3 clay diggers, and achieve an increasing inventory stock of clay. So the clay is here. So I can build it somewhere around here. I don't want it too close to the houses, so I might build it. As far away from the houses as possible. Maybe to the south. Now there is a adjacency bonus of having economy houses nearby, but I might forgo that. And then the Pathfinder has returned. And once it gets close enough to the transport point, I can exchange the resources and dump everything that it found back into the into Yodaville.
Got it?
And then send it back out, looking for ruins for knowledge, as she previously suggested. Now, if I did want the adjacency bonus of having an economical building nearby, clay pits is economy. I could put like a house here for it.
New instructions?
The radiation storm only has about 4 minutes left. 4.5 minutes left.
On my way.
And the activated carbon mass that we've been producing has
On my
protected
way.
us for the most part. We can also, at this point, even though the Toro hasn't instructed us to do it, is to change the recipe from masks to gloves. because there is a additive effect of having two different types of radiation protection. So with a mix of masks and gloves, we'll be more protected.
New instructions?
So you'll see that radiation protection tick up as we manufacture the gloves.
On my way.
And there it is. We're now 2 of 4.
Got it?
Any of the sort of like ramp-like structures can harbor transfer points, so that you aren't restricted to just the initial transfer point you set up. I could set up an access point here as well if I wanted to. So if I'm exploring more of the west, this one might make more sense because it's positioned closer to the west. And then it occurred to me that the initial transfer point I set up didn't even have a road. I don't think it's all that necessary to build roads for these, but I'm going to do it anyway. Even if it uses some tools. Because they don't have like a road benefit.
Engine running.
Oh, here's another expedition.
There's a converted buggy standing in this garage. We ought to take a closer look at it. The best would be if we try to lower the car lift somehow. Jerry cans with gasoline in them are lying here. Can we use them? On the road.
In the top left, you can see the total progress towards looting the facility as well.
The generator's running and supplying electricity. Will do. That's a really unusual construction design. The vehicle's not fit to drive anymore, but maybe our experts at home can do something with it. Will do. The mattress hasn't been used for a while, but whoever fixed up their cars here lived here for a spell too. Sure is lonesome out here.
Okay, so we got 2 knowledge points. Now, what isn't included in the demo is vehicle manufacturing, as far as I know. But he did mention that the schematics for building said buggy was gained.
New instructions?
And there we go. New technologies unlocked, Mud Runner. Which is somewhere well beyond the demo's scope. Down there somewhere.
I'm at the wheel.
We have a little bit more room for stuff. Okay. The Pathfinder's more or less full, so let's get back to the closest transfer point. In fact, actually, let's use the new transfer point because it will be closer once it's built. And here, as you can see, the radiation storm is like mild, but as it ticks up, we would need increased levels of protection or suffer radiation negative effects. I also like to, I'm going to keep those 2 iron tools on me, because if we interact with any safes, we're going to want iron tools to be able to crack the safes.
Got it?
Alright, I don't have enough people to fill those clay digger roles, so let's back off of our well workers.
Awesome. Clay is the basis for a completely new building material. Don't forget that the clay pit benefits from a connection to a road and to depots in the vicinity.
Okay, so this clay pit, for instance, has 30% gain because there's a dwelling of the same branch, depots, in this case it's just depot to the town hall, and roads. Clay is dug very slowly. So the 3 people that I have is digging like 2 clay per minute. It's sluggish at pace. Thank you for tuning in to a first look at Endzone 2's pre-release demo, which originally streamed live on Twitch June 4th. If you have any feedback or questions for me, let me know in the comments below. If you'd like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams. If you'd like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com has a link to it. And you can also find a link to Patreon there as well. Thank you so very much for tuning in. A special thank you to my Patreon patrons, Twitch subscribers, and viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. Thank you so very much. Hope to catch a next episode or an upcoming stream. Farewell, my fellow survivors of the Endzone.